Well, with a second loss to the Rangers, the Halos have us looking to the future. So we're going to share about the top 10 prospects in the Halo system right now because we need something, right? It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And the best way to help us out is by giving us a rate and a review. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you're subscribed and click that bell to be notified every time a new episode drops.
Thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch Brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Hey, Locked On Everydayers, join us this Friday for Fan Mail Friday. Get your questions into us by Thursday afternoon so that we have plenty of time to look them over and make sure that they can get into the show. You can also give us a call on our voicemail line. 714-409-6396 is the number. That number is in the episode description below the video and also on audio platforms. In the meantime, Mike, the Angels lost again. I'm like Bill Murray.
Yeah, that was good, Johnny. Listen, I have a biblical studies degree, but I have done counseling and therapy with people. So if anybody needs some help, I know a guy. So especially watching that was good. Especially watching this team, man. They lost 7-3 last night. Lucas Giolito was on the mound. He's the big trade piece that we got. And as you mentioned when you gave the update on our social media platform, it was okay. 6 innings, 7 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, 5 Ks. He did throw 110 pitches. I love that he went 6 innings. 2 of those runs came on a Corey Seager home run. Jordyn Adams leaped over the wall and made the catch and then did his best Jo Adell, and the ball fell out of his glove.
In Globe Life Field, too.
I know.
Just tell me they're not cursed, Mike.
Right,
come on.
Right. 2 great athletic players, and it's almost the exact duplicate moment, right? Johnny, since acquiring Giolito, 21 innings pitched, 19 earned runs, 19 Ks, 9 walks, 1-3 record. Thoughts on Lucas Giolito? How does he make you feel, John?
I mean, it's fine. Look, he's supposed to help be a nice addition to the rotation. This rotation's not good. And then it makes a Lucas Giolito start like this look like, thank God,
Yeah.
it's
yeah.
only 4 runs he given up. That's what the rotation's been doing to us lately. And
right.
Giolito, I mean, he was really highly sought after as a trade target. And obviously he's not the same Giolito he's been in the past, but at the same time, what a good deadline move to make, right? To go and get somebody who's going to help your rotation. The Angels needed help with the rotation, and Billy Epler is certainly not going to send Scherzer or Verlander to the Angels after being fired by the Angels. That's not going to happen. So going out and getting Giolito, a great move. I think they could have used somebody else and one more person too, from St. Louis, but as we saw with Jordan Montgomery against us with the Rangers. But I mean, good grief, man. It's 2 trade deadline pieces going toe to toe, but nothing about this team looks good right now. And I'm not even complaining about Giolito. I'm just saying, what's there to cheer for here? I mean, I just, he's a local guy. I dig that. I understand, moving and making the change to the Angels. That's a big move, of course, but everybody does it. At the same time, maybe he's a piece that can factor into next year if he wants to stick around. But I don't know, Mike. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm nervous about that. Here's why I'm nervous. Not because I think Giolito is going to regress or not be a great pitcher. I mean, he might be. I just don't know if he could be a great pitcher on our team because of the coaching that we talked about yesterday that is around him. Right? We have proven, the Angels have proven, I'm not even going to say we, I'm going to say the Angels have proven that they don't know how to develop pitchers like the Dodgers or the Rays or other teams, even Houston, right? They just don't develop pitchers very well. And he is somebody that I think probably has a few little things that just need to be tweaked. I just am not confident that the Angels can do that. And yesterday I looked up Brandon Marsh's stats just because I missed him. Right. And
you like to torture yourself. Yeah.
Yes. And I'm looking at his slash line of 285, 367. I think he had a 500 slugging or around a 400 slugging. The guy's having a good year. Right. And 8 home runs, 37 RBIs. He's on the IL right now. But I thought to myself, here's a guy that gets traded. And then the front office goes, we think we know what's wrong with his swing. And then look at what he's doing. A 285 hitter in our lineup right now would be fantastic. We would love to have that type of hitter, somebody who can slash and somebody who can make contact, right? And I get that the trade was a win-win for both teams. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have done that. However, the point is that the Phillies were able to go, hey, Brandon, it's your load. It's how you're loading up your hands. It's how you're turning your hips, right? The Angels bring people in and they're like, maybe try underhand. Maybe that'll help, right? Maybe you just toss it up there. That could be a good move, right?
Have you tried frustrating? Have you tried size 9 shoes instead of size 8 shoes? Is that have you prayed before the game? Yeah, that's what we need is a thought and a prayer over here.
Right.
But, you're making a larger point here of Lucas Giolito stays with the Angels. He's going to be more of the same. He goes somewhere else and he'll turn into another Cy Young candidate again. You know what I mean? I hear what you're saying, but man, the life is gone from this team and it's gone from my fandom. I mean, Zach Neto is hurt. Logan O'Hoppe obviously is working his way back.
Right.
Mike Trout, might be back this weekend. But here's my thing, Mike. What am I watching for? There's no Neto, he's hurt. There's no O'Hoppe right now. At least last year when we knew that we weren't going to be in it and you kind of just accepted that, you could watch Sandoval go out there and have a great game. You could watch Reed Detmers go out there and have a great game and be like, oh yeah, those two, look at what they're doing at the end of 2022. Think about what they'll be like next year. And I don't even want to watch those guys either. Right. I know Detmers is on the mound today, but there's just nothing exciting about this team right now. It's all a bunch of guys that were supposed to come over and help us and they're not doing anything. The guys who've been here all season long aren't doing anything. And it's just up and down this lineup, man. It's just so painful to watch. And there's nothing exciting to watch about this team right now. It's really frustrating.
Yeah, my thought, Johnny, is that they just need to get rid of all the Epler DePoto guys and just run with GMPM's guys, because it seems like those Epler DePoto guys are not in it to win it.
Knocking home runs over the wall because Jo Adell and Jordyn Adams are both Epler guys.
It just doesn't seem like they're in it to win it, and they don't have life. There's not an excitement. There's not a gritty guttiness. There's not a Darren Erstad. There's not a David Eckstein that really is shining from those years. Now, when you look at the GMPM, he's got those guys, right? Zach Neto's the guy. That is Zach Neto. He's that guy. He's the gritty gutty guy. And I know the Angels have a really good record when he's in the lineup versus when he's not. And it's interesting that he's their shortstop because longtime Angel fans will know that Gary DiSarcina was that guy for the Halos in the 90s, and the Angels were in a pennant race in 1995, and then he went down, and they completely fell apart. And so there is a dynamic to having a guy on your team like that. The problem is they traded for all these other guys to come in and fill the gap. I know we have injuries. I see the narrative in the comments when you viewers, listeners are commenting. I get injuries, man. Yeah, this has really been a terrible, terrible injury-filled season. However, we've replaced those guys with major league caliber players who just have fallen flat since they've come over in trades or that we traded for at the beginning of the year. And that's what's really, really frustrating about this team. And so I'm of the opinion, my thought moving forward is if I'm GMP, I'm looking at this roster going, okay, I'm going to see if I can trade that guy. I'm going to see if I can move that guy. I'm going to see, right? Or he's just going to be on the bench. He's just going to be the guy that rides the pine and comes in when I need him to come in,
And he can take somebody like Syndergaard and get us a Mickey Moniak out of that. And, we see Mickey Moniak being figured out and coming back down to earth. And that was inevitable. The expected numbers were much lower than the numbers he was putting out. But at the same time, it cost you half a season of Noah Syndergaard. You know what I'm saying? And so I think PM Perry Minasian can spin some good moves in the offseason. And I love that. Restock with Perry Minasian guys. Mike, I was talking to somebody on Twitter about the philosophy of this team. I mean, you can't establish a philosophy when you've had 3 GMs in 10 years. Less than 10 years. And 4 managers in 10 years.
Right.
There's no way a philosophy gets established with a team. And if you go back and look, you see Mike Butcher and before him, Bud Black, they had 5+ years of doing their thing as a pitching coach. And then Mike Scioscia for all the time that he was here, plenty of time to establish something and kind of create a philosophy that goes all the way and trickles down all the way to, single A or whatever it is. I know guys are just getting good in single A, figuring out what they're good at.
Right.
But as these guys move up through the system, there's no cohesion. There's no consistent philosophy. I think if Perry Minasian had more time and more years ahead of him, we don't know what next year is going to look like with him. I know he's got one more year, but you got to give a guy like that time to build something. And so, yeah, to clean house of Epler guys and is there any Dipoto guys left over? I don't know. But we'll see. Anyway, the Angels are 3-11 since the trade deadline, which is 3-11 in August, Michael. And they're back at it against the Rangers tonight at 5:05 Pacific time. You can catch every pitch of the Angels hometown broadcast on SiriusXM with the SXM app. All you got to do is search Angels. Coming up on Locked On Angels, we got to have a little hope, right? So we're going to look at the top 10 Halos prospects right now. We'll learn about them together, and we'll talk about them together, and we'll do that in just a minute.
Angel fans, today's show is brought to you by Bunches. Bunches is a new app built for sports fans where you can chat with other sports fans in real time. You can download the Bunches app today, and when you do, our friends at Bunches have a featured Locked On MLB bunch. I like that. See what we did there? Where it's in the Discover tab. You click that, you can go there, and you can connect with other baseball fans. You can chat about your favorite team, and you can keep up with all of the latest baseball news. Bunches is the place where sports fans chat, especially sports fans who are Locked On everydayers. So if you have questions or comments about today's episode or questions or comments about other shows, you can chat about it in the Locked On MLB bunch on Bunches. You can download Bunches right now so that you can chat about your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Hey, Locked On Everydayers, don't forget we got Fan Mail Friday coming up. Voicemail line is in the episode description, and we'd love to get your questions at Locked On Angels or at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram, so find us there. Angels are back at it tonight, 5:05 Pacific time. Trying to not get swept again, like this weekend. Just a great trip through Texas, Mike. 5:05 Pacific time. You can catch every pitch of the Angels hometown broadcast on SiriusXM with the SXM app. Just search Angels.
If you are not a longtime Angel fan, maybe you're new in the last few years since Trout came or since Ohtani came, or maybe even this year, we're glad you're here. There's something that Angel fans will talk about often. And that is that we are getting buttercupped. It was the 7th inning song, and it talks about building you up and then letting you down. And this is one of those seasons where it feels like we're getting buttercupped. We've been built up and let back down. But Johnny, doesn't this season feel a bit heavier? Like it hurts a little bit more, right? And so you and I have had some conversations about this and about this with Locked On Everydayers. And so we've come up with 4 reasons why this year just hurts a little bit more. Johnny, you want to start with reason number 1?
Yeah, I think the first reason is that GMPM, Perry Minasian, looked back at, okay, what's gone wrong the last 2 years that I've been here, 21 and 22. Well, the biggest part is no depth. Every time there's an injury to Trout or Rendon or somebody, there's not really anybody capable to come up and just play like average baseball. Everybody is like a weighted runs created plus under 100, right? 100's average and OPS plus under 100. Like not even guys who can just be league average. It's all these guys have been worse that they've used to replace players. I mean, last year's a perfect example. You had Monte Harrison and Magneuris Sierra and Jose Rojas playing. Yeah, remember those guys? Neither do I. And they weren't even league average. They were subpar. They were below par, Mike. So he looks back and he goes, you know what? We're going to address the depth issue. And so he gets guys like Gio Urshela and Hunter Renfroe. Even though you've got a lot of infielders and you've got a lot of outfielders, he still went out and added a bunch of pieces to the roster. And just in case there's an injury and even just like a day off, right? You given Rendon's injury history, you didn't expect him to play 7 games in 7 days, right? At the same time, when he did get hurt, you get Gio Urshela to play third, and Gio was doing really well, hitting for a good average, not hitting a ton of power, but then he gets hurt. And then you start to realize, oh my gosh, all the depth pieces that Perry Minasian added this year, they're all hurt. And so it was like, if you don't think the Angels are cursed, think about all the injuries that they've had over the last decade. So Perry Minasian goes out and reinforces that, and then the reinforcements get hurt. And so that is a huge part of why this season is so disappointing and why it hurts more.
Johnny, I think the second reason is that the Angels have been within striking distance of making the playoffs. Like we have had some hope, right? They didn't fall off the face of the earth like they did last year with 14 losses in a row, although right now it feels like they're falling or getting pushed off the face of the earth, right? And they've been close for most of the season, and they're still close. I'm putting quotations up.
Well, they're 3 games under 500 for the first time this year, Mike. And as much as they've been under 500 in the past, this is the furthest down 500 that they've been staring all season long. So this is the worst that they've been all year after they get all these pieces. Like,
that's frustrating. Crazy. Right? That's frustrating. And they're only 8 games out of the wild card. I know I say only, but like that, they're within striking distance. If they get hot, something could happen. That would be great. The problem is that they just have been playing terribly. And that's why this season hurts, because we've been within striking distance. But I think that all of us felt like there were indicators that were played earlier this year where we were like, I just don't know if this team's going to be that team. Like if they could just tweak this and move this. And I think what we're experiencing now is a culmination of those glimpses we saw earlier this year of things not working, not functioning well, lack of focus, some of those things, right? And so that's why this year, I think, hurts a little bit more, is the Angels have been within striking distance of the playoffs.
And it hurts more because they went all in. They announced they weren't going to trade Ohtani, and the same day they go out and get Lucas Giolito and Ronaldo Lopez. And you and I talked about how each of the moves they made were meant to fill in the gaps that the Angels knew that they had in terms of starting pitching, the bullpen, and even guys who could hit with runners in scoring position like Randall Grichuk and CJ Cron. They do it all year long, and then they come here and hit a home run in garbage time, like a 2-run home run when it doesn't even matter. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what's frustrating, is the Angels were like, okay, what are our deficiencies? Let's go out and fix those. And theoretically they did, but in realistic terms and execution, they haven't. And I was talking with Steve Granado. He's over on Locked On Yankees and used to be the host of Locked On Angels. And he made mention of something where he said, this is one of the more talented Angels teams in history.
Yeah.
And they've completely failed.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that doesn't speak to the talent on the field. I think that has everything to do with the management and the coaching and the philosophy and everything. The talent is there. And again, on paper, it's a great team, but when it comes to execution, they have not been a great team. And I think that says everything about the management at the end of the day.
Yeah. Last reason, Johnny, is it's potentially Ohtani's last year with this team. And I say potentially because we don't know what he's going to do, and he hasn't indicated what he's going to do. The only thing that he has said out loud is he wants to win, and he wanted to win with this team. And we want to see him win. Yeah. That's the biggest thing. We want to see him win. Watching him in the WBC was fantastic. It gave us a taste of what could be. And so that's what makes this really, really frustrating, because if I'm Ohtani and I'm looking at a team, like, there is not an incentive to come back to this team on the surface. There might be incentives underneath. One of the things that I loved about what Jeff Passan said on SportsCenter the other day when they were reporting on Ohtani missing his start. He was supposed to start today. He said, the Angels listen to Shohei Ohtani. The Angels listen to Shohei Ohtani. The Angels listen to Shohei Ohtani because they're going to do what Shohei wants to do. And I think that that's an incentive for him to come back. But unfortunately, there's not a lot of other incentives to come back. And if he wants to run to another team and be on that other team and try to win, it makes sense, because this team in the 8 years that he has been here, or around that time, right? Like, they just haven't done anything maybe until this year to really put a good team around him. And then even when they do that, they've failed at that. As Granado said, like, you got this really talented team that has just completely failed because perhaps we don't have very knowledgeable and intentional and strategic coaches around this team right now.
Yeah. You put a Porsche engine in a Honda Civic is what you did. I mean, you got all these pieces and really great parts, and you put it in a really crappy vehicle. And that's what this Angels team is. It's the Ferrari in the driveway of, your rundown shack house. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the biggest problem with the Angels right now. You're muted.
I'm back.
See what happens to us Locked On Everydayers. These Angels are destroying us right now.
What I said was, speaking of cars, today's show is brought to you by eBay Motors. Sorry about that. For a championship team, it's all about making sure that every player is a perfect fit. And the same with your vehicle. You need parts that fit just right. And so the next time that you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. They have the eBay guarantee, and the eBay guarantee makes sure that every part that you get fits just right the first time around. They have something called My Garage on their website. You can add your car or truck to the My Garage. It'll give you a green check mark to let you know that the part that you selected actually will fit in your car, or you get your money back. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. So get the right parts, the right fit, the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guarantee Fit is only available to U.S. customers.
All right, Mike, they have a new top 30 prospects for the Angels, of course, because they traded a lot of pieces away to add to this team who has gone 3-11 since they traded those pieces away. Just thought I'd mention that. But Rhett Bollinger, who covers the Angels for MLB.com, does a great job as the Angels beat writer. He said the Angels top 30 prospects list looks much different than it did at the start of the season.
Yep.
Halos were aggressive in promoting their top prospects like Logan Ohtani and Zach Neto. And they traded away several pieces at the deadline, including catcher Edgar Caro, infield outfielder Jeremiah Jackson, and pitchers Kai Bush, Jake Madden, Mason Albright, Landon Marceau, and Coleman Crow. Now, you and I are going to give you the top 10 names and share a couple of the names that stand out to us. Let me just read through those real fast, Mike. Number one, we have Logan Ohtani, of course. Number two, Nolan Shanuel, their first pick of the draft in 2023.
Already number two.
Number three, Caden Dana. Number four, Nelson Rada. Number five, Alberto Rios. Number six, Kyron Paris. Number seven, Denzer Guzman. Number eight, Ben Joyce, who we've seen already. Number nine, Barrett Kent. And number 10, Jack Kachanowicz. I love that name.
It's a good name. So new to this list is Shanuel at number 2, Rios at number 5, Barrett Kent at number 9, Camden how do you say
Minasian.
This is why you're on the show. He's at 19, and then 29 is John Wimmer. He's a shortstop. Most of those guys all of those guys actually came because of the draft, Johnny. And so let's talk about who's really rising and who's really falling. Why don't you share who's really rising on this list?
Yeah, Jack Kachanowicz actually jumped a lot here. He had a solid season between high A and double A, 4.95 ERA, 65 strikeouts, and 87 1/3 innings. Third round pick in 2019, 6'7" right-hander, and he's working to lower that arm slot, Mike. So can you imagine a real tall 6'7" guy with an arm slot way down there? That's going to be fun to watch. Mason Erla actually took a big fall. He's preseason, he was 18, and he's not in the top 30 at the moment. He's struggled between Rocket City and AAA. He's got an 8.94 ERA and 49 1/3 innings. Trouble with control is really what the issue is there. He's walked 30 hitters. And now as we talk about like the players with the best tools, and that could be the hit tool or the power tool or the speed tool, those kinds of things. Players are graded on a 20 to 80 scale. And if that sounds weird, think of it as, 20 is the bottom, 80 is the top. And the reason why is because 50 is what statisticians would call the mean. It's right there in the middle. And when you go 10 ticks to the left and you go to 40, that's like a whole group of 40 to 50 are grouped together, 50 to 60 are grouped together. And so that's why it's like a 20 to 80 scale. So 50 is right in the middle, 80's top, and 20 is at the bottom. So let's go through some of these tools here, Mike.
Yeah, so Nolan Shanuel actually has a hit tool at 60, which is above average. Ohtani's power is 55, so that's a bit above average. I love this, and I'd love to see it actually come to fruition in the major leagues. Jordyn Adams has an 80 run tool. Like he's fast.
That's elite.
That's elite. Like this guy is fast. If you
he's got to get on base to
right.
Bags.
So if you see his quads, the dude's got massive quads.
Really?
And then Juan Flores has a 60 arm tool. On defense, Adams actually has a 60 tool on defense, which We saw him leap over the wall and try to make that catch. If he just pulls it back over, it's not a home run. Levan Soto is also a 60 on defense. Fastball, Johnny, take a guess. Who's got an elite fastball in the minor leagues and was in the majors this year? Take one guess.
My boy Ben Joyce, baby. Yep. Yeah. So yeah, if you need a good example of an elite fastball, there you go. Ben Joyce.
That is it. That is it. Caden Dana has a elite, semi above average curveball at 55. And then there a few other guys are listed on here with sliders, changeups, and control. The two players that I really think we need to pay attention to, Johnny, are Nelson Rada and Caden Dana. Dana is 19. He posted a 3.56 ERA with 89 strikeouts, 68 in the third innings across single A Inland Empire and high A Tri-City. John, Nelson Rada is actually like causing a bit of a stir. Like, read about him.
You have to say Rada because he's from Latin America. He was in the international free agency signing. So
sorry, my white boy's coming across.
Nelson Rada. Here's the thing. Like, I know that there might be some people who are upset that Edgar Caro got traded, considering how high of a prospect he was. Number one, we have Logan O'Hoppe. Number two, he came from the international free agent market.
Yep.
And so the Angels have really emphasized scouting in the international free agent market since Perry Minasian's taken over, really. Like, it really fell off during the Epler years. Obviously, Ohtani is a quote-unquote international free agent when he came over, but everybody knew about Ohtani.
Right. You have to be stupid to miss on Ohtani.
Right. And this is where you can find players that maybe not everybody's looking at. Yeah. I think that's why Nelson Rada is somebody they're excited about. 17 years old. He's hitting 264 with a 326 slugging, 2 homers, 11 doubles, 46 stolen bases.
Wow.
39 RBIs in 89 games with single A Inland Empire. So that's something to pay attention to. Again, those guys who are young are still figuring out who they are, what they're good at. And that's why, you know, you look at numbers in single A and you think, all right, what's jumping out there? The stolen bases, obviously, the RBIs are pretty strong for him as well. And
right.
A 264 average. That's pretty good for a 17-year-old guy.
Yeah.
So again, international free agent market is somewhere that I hope the Angels put more emphasis on in the future, because you can really find some diamonds in the rough out there. Mike, two guys who might even make an appearance next year. Obviously, Nolan Schanuel, maybe he'll get the Zach Neto treatment. Kyron Paris is another guy who might be coming up as well. So as I said earlier, what am I watching this team for day to day when O'Hoppe and Neto and the guys I'm excited about are hurt or they're not performing, like Sandoval and Detmers? Well, here's to the future, my friends, because even though we did trade away a lot of pieces, it just makes room for pieces that perhaps Perry Minasian and the front office are more excited about.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Like our friend Jeff Mather, who had the comment of the year on Twitter yesterday when you posted the now and gave the report of the game. He tweeted, well, at least they didn't lose by that many.
That's Jeff, really how it felt to do that, Mike. It's really how it felt to make that video. It was like, I guess it was better. I don't know.
Jeff summarized how we all feel. So thank you. You're the Locked On Angel listener of the day. The Angels play the Rangers at 5:05 today, and you can catch every pitch of the hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Angels.
Hey, give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On Angels, like Jeff Mather, and at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to get into our voicemail, of course, you can do that. The number is below in the episode description. Mike, what do we have on deck for tomorrow's show?
Listen, we're here, and we're going to be here whether the Angels show up or not. And so we're going to recap this final game. I think it'll be interesting to talk about Reed Detmer's start, see how he does. Hopefully it's a bounce back for him. I know that they moved some pieces around because it was supposed to be Shohei. So we're going to be here to give you a detailed recap of that game and talk it through. So come and talk it through with us on Locked On Angels tomorrow.
I think Matt Wise was quoted as saying that they're going to make Reed Detmers throw submarine now. They're going to give that a try. He's actually going to throw with his right hand, actually, instead of his left.
And he's batting cleanup.
All right, friends. We'll see you back here tomorrow for more Locked On Angels. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
The bitterness is coming out. I got to push it back down. And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
If anybody can be bitter, it's us Frishes, right? All right, friends. We'll see you back here tomorrow for more Locked On Angels.
Come on, Angels.
Bitter.